Hello, hello, and welcome to episode 8. Hopefully, this will be the last episode where we wrap everything up and have a complete system ready. So, today's episode is focused on accepting the payments. We're gonna do this through Stripe. So, let me show you what I did behind the scenes after the previous episode because it was getting a bit too long. So, item 1, I've added on the index page, I've added the middleware of auth. So you need to be authenticated to access the application. So I don't have an account yet here, so let's create one. Right, the account was created, we are logged in. We can see this here, the user is created just now. All right, back in the application, when you go to a garage, I switched this inputs to be date time inputs. So let's select a date in the future with a time in the future. So this one on 22nd again, but this will be 2 hours. And we want to select only the small size. So it finds 2 available spots. And we have the option to select a different one. So this is one by default. And if I switch this again, we'll get a different one. And you also see the price calculation here. And I'm going to show this. This was also added behind the scenes. The backend functionality was implemented during the stream, but this was afterwards. So when you, let's open the network, and let's switch between. Yeah. So you get the spots endpoint, you get all the spots back, then you get a random spot, and this creates the reservation. So this was the step that we wanted to have high availability. Yeah. So if people click through the spots, it will be kind of reserved for 10 minutes. And if I change this, so take a look at the ID here. This is my logged in user, and this is the spot ID that I was testing with. Yeah. And if I change this to a different spot, yeah, we get the previous reservation deleted because it was not paid at. Yeah, this is null. And we have a new reservation created. And this is handled in the reservation observer. Yeah, so when a new reservation is being created, we delete all the reservations that are not paid of this current user. Yeah. And in this way, we keep the high availability and no users can book the same spots at the same time. Even though the payment is not complete yet, you get a time frame of 10 minutes, and I'm going to implement a cron that deletes all the leftover reservations. All right, so we get the reservation, and then we make an API call to the calculate payment. We send the reservation ID, and this one returns back just an integer in cents of the payment. Yeah, so you get a random spot, but we have different attributes. Yeah? So the ones with more attributes are usually, more expensive. So if you click this, we have only 2 spots, only 1 spot. And if you have only 1 spot, you cannot change to a different one. So let's go back to multiple spots. And if I click on this one, the pricing should change. It's more expensive because it has more benefits or more options. And we go back on this, and this is the cheapest option, the base price of $12. Now, how we can continue with this? Let's go to the schema a bit, and I'll explain a bit better here maybe. So we create a reservation, we get it back, we have the pricing, and now we can click on the continue to payment. So what this should do is send, let's make it this way so I can draw. So we make the request to the backend server. This one creates the reservation and then returns us the reservation ID. Okay, great. Now we have the payment. We get the payment, calculate the payment, get back the payment. Okay? Now, when we say continue to payment, we should call another endpoint. We get back the URL. So this will use the Stripe checkout, and I will explain that in a moment. Now we get a Stripe URL. We access that from the consumer. We end up on Stripe. And I can continue my my payment process here, card details and everything. And after the payment is done, we should get back to our consumer. But at the same time, Stripe will call a webhook, and this one will tell us that the payment was successful. This will update the MySQL database, and this is the place where we have to check, like we got back here, but we have no validation that the payment is successful or not. So we'll call the backend server and ask, is this payment complete? Yeah? And this whole redirect route, I think it's best handled with an UUID, because I don't want to expose the IDs of the reservations, so the users cannot guess them. So it will be something like this. I think I already have the page. So I have the checkout and I have the UUID. And if I go to checkout and I have a UUID, I go to this one. It retrieves the UUID from the URL. And now we should check the database if there is a reservation with this UUID and if the payment is successful. So let's start with the coding part. As I said, we don't have a UUID on the reservations table. Yeah, so let's create that. Like normally in a production application, you would go and create a new migration and add the new column. But since we don't have a production and it's just locally, I usually modify the existing migrations. So let's go to the reservation table, UUID, right? And this will be the name of the column, UUID. And also something, there are multiple ways to track the payments. Like we would create transactions model and register all the payment information there. But to keep it a bit more simple, I think we can do with an integer, or let's say big integer, because this is in sense. Actually, let's check the garage. There's something with prices here. So it's a simple integer, and we make it unsigned. Great. So let's do the same here. So we'll know exactly how much we paid for this, so we can keep track of it. And instead of base, paid amount. Right. Now, when we create the UID, we already have a reservation observer. So on creation, we can do reservation UUID, and we can use the util UUID, and this will generate a unique ID. Now we can do the migrate now. So this will seed all the data again. We'll have to create a new user. And what is this? Our paid amount is not, all right, so this also has to be nullable. Right, that's right. Because initially it's not paid. Let's see if it works with nullable and unsigned. Should work. Cool, it passed. Okay, so if we take a look at our reservations, we have a UUID set, and cool, we can continue. Let's start directly with setting up Stripe. Oh, one more. I've added a tool for the backend stack. This is Laravel Telescope, and yeah, so you have all the requests that you send to the server will be scanned here. So you'll see all the details of all the requests, and we can inspect for n+1 queries and whatnot. So we got logged out because we don't have a user anymore. So let's create it again. I should probably add this user to the seating. Okay, this was created. If we go and let's try to make a reservation for spots, great. So this one already created the reservation, but the paid ad and paid amount is null, and that's what we want. Well, this is just CD data, so if you have a paid ad, you should also have a paid amount. But let's set up Stripe. So we're gonna use Laravel Cashier with the Stripe module here. So let's install this. And we have to make some configurations now. Yes, we want to migrate. Next. Our billable model is user, so let's add that as well. No. Okay. So we have the Stripe key, we have the Stripe secret. I think I have them in the env already. Let's see if we do. Okay. We have them here, but we have not populated them. So let's go to Stripe. Oh, so I also wanted to demo the Stripe checkout functionality. So we don't have to build the whole form and validation and everything, and we can use the checkout from Stripe. I find it pretty cool. So it has an option of one-time payment or recurring payments, and in our case we go with one-time payment. Yeah, we don't care about the branding. No. Well, maybe coupons. Why not? And tax. No tax. This should be a separate course if it handles tax as well. And this is a demo, how it will look like. And we'll pass the reservation ID, maybe the time interval, and you'll have the item here, and you can pay using your, well, you can pay with multiple options. So this is a big advantage of Stripe. It gets you started really fast. So Stripe, let's see if I'm logged in. Cool. Now we can grab this. I'm in demo mode, so all the payments will not be registered against the live credit cards. So let's grab the key. This will be the Stripe key. We have the secret. Oh, great. Okay. As I said, we also have webhooks because we want we want Stripe to notify our backend that the transaction has been handled successfully or not. And there's let's see if I find it next here. Handling webhooks. So these are the default webhooks that are being handled, but the single payments are separate. So we'll have to create a custom webhook in our backend. But we have a little helper here from Cashier to create a webhook. And to use this first, we need to expose our local server to the web. And let's see what is actually expose. I think it's expose share. Expose. This is a tool from Beyond Code that you can use for free to share your local stuff to the web. Yeah, so expose, share, and then we have localhost 8000. This is our backend. Okay, so if I open this URL now, I should have access to the backend. One sec. All right, let's use the webhook, the command to create the webhook, and that's in here. So PHP artisan cashier webhook, cashier. I always, okay, cashier webhook. Let's grab this URL. Okay. And I think it also has to be, yeah, Stripe. I made a little test here with the webhook creation. So /stripe/webhook. Now, calling this should create a new entry in our endpoints here. So ours was with this. Great, so we have the webhook. And this is the sign-in secret. And let's set it up in our env. So this will authenticate the webhook. Now let's update the event types that we're looking for. Or actually, let's make a payment first, and then we'll see what event is being generated. So we can handle that in the backend, and you can replicate this for all type of events, and it will be a good example. All right, let's create the. Let's go through the documentation again. Yeah, we have to add this in the verify CSRF token middleware, and we accept Stripe. All right. Also, we want the webhook controller. So let's create it. Let's see. Oh, it's in here. Let's remove it from here and put it in API. Actually, this will not be an API. This needs to be in web. Yeah, let's put it back. All right, and we'll make the handling here. This needs to be, yeah, this needs to extend the cashier controller. So let's get that in. Cashier controller. I think this is an alias. Yes. Great. And we also need to make the post request in our web routes. Let's get that from here. Webhook controller and handle webhook, yes. Okay, looks good. Let's create the route for the payment. Let me give it a thought. All right, so in our routes API, we want the route. This will be a post request to checkout. I don't think we have a checkout controller yet, so. And this will go into API checkout controller. Let's see. And what this should do is should process it. But more importantly, it's not actually doing the checkout itself. It just returns the Stripe checkout URL. So I think show makes sense in this case. And let's go with the this will be a reservation, and let's do the reservation here for now. I think we also want we also want a request to validate what we show in here. So this will be checkout request, and we want to be able to create a checkout URL only if the reservation is not paid and if the reservation belongs to this user. So let's accept this first. Okay. Now in here, I don't think it has any rules, or let's see. I think we have this with policy, so this should be a reservation policy. So let's create a new action here, and this will be, can we pay this reservation? And the condition for this is that the user needs to be the one that created the reservation, and reservation paid at is null. Or let's put empty, reservation paid at. Great. So let's see how we can make it's authorized or something like that. Yes, can. So instead of this, if the user can pay this current reservation, and this will return a boolean. Okay, let's go back to the checkout controller and see that we can pay for, let's see how the reservation was called, numbered, 291. Okay, I'll open Postman and we can continue our adventure there. Just a moment. Switch workspace. Okay, so we should be able to go to our localhost API checkout, and we should pass an ID now. Or actually, we don't want it post. If I think about it, I think this can be just a GET request. Checkout. This will be reservation, and this will point to checkout controller. Okay, and this will be show. Let's import this one. Okay, show, we pass through this, and let's see that we get the correct reservation and we are allowed to do it. So we already have an account. Let's generate a token. I think these are the same credentials that I used. Yes. We got the token. Let's replace it. And let's make the request. Or let's put something gibberish. So this is a non-existing. Wait. I don't have the authorization. Are you sure? Let's get a new token. All right. Let's see that the URL matches. Checkout and then the reservation. Let's list our routes. So API checkout and reservation. Yes, it's a GET request. It goes to the correct stuff. So let's go with this. Put it here. Okay, so I don't know what that was, but it works now. So we are, let's try something else. Well, we get a no query result, but that makes sense. This will not be found when we disable the debug. Okay. Although, no, that's fine because we don't find the actual reservation. So back to our reservation, and let's implement the URL generation for this. So checkout, let's see. Let's go to the documentation and see what it has for us. So checkout. Checkout charge. Single charge checkouts, that's what we want. So we get the user, we charge we pass the amount, we pass the name that will be shown in here, and then the amount of products. And this will be 1. So let's do this. We'll generate a URL in here and get the request user. Then we'll do the checkout charge. Now to get the amount, we can use the, let's inject it here, price calculation processor. Let's move this down a bit. And this will return a JSON response. JSON. The data will be the URL. The status will be 200, and this is by default, but let's keep it here. So this will be the URL, and let's see the price, or actually let's put the price in here and see that it's calculated correctly. So we have the reservation, or first processor, process, and we pass the reservation ID. And this should give us the price that is shown in here. So we'll get the same price. And let's see that this works now. Back to Postman. And this is 1074, 1074. Great. Let's continue with the URL generation. All right. So checkout charge, we have the price. Now let's pass the name. Let's bring this in. Multiple lines. Now the name thing should be something like the reservation number, and we pass the actual reservation ID for, let's see, for debugging purposes. Reservation ID. Then we can pass the date intervals. So let's see. Reservation, this will be start, and let's format it nicely because this is a Carbon instance now. So day, month, year, and then we also want the hours and minutes. Okay, and then the end should follow the same format. So reservation, I think it's end, format, hours and minutes. Okay, we next have to pass the amount. Well, it's 1 by default, but I know that we want to pass some additional parameters. So we need the reservation UUID, because after the payment is complete, we want to redirect to the front-end stack, and we need to know the UUID of the reservation. So let's pass that. I think it's called metadata or something. Actually, we can inspect the checkout charge and see exactly how it looks like. So let's see how we create. All right. So first, yes. So we also need this in case of success, and in case of cancel. Because this one uses too fast. This one uses the options, the success URL that I pass, or it will fall back to the home route, but we don't even have a home route now. So if I don't pass anything now, let's actually check it. If I don't pass anything, I think I should get an error because I don't have the homepage URL. So let's see that. And let's return the URL back here. So I expect this to be an error. So right home is not defined, and that is correct. Let's pass the, how was that called? So in the create, we want the success URL. And in our case, we want this to be, well, let's just go with local for now. localhost 3000, then checkout, and then we get the UID. And if we want to interpolate this, let's put the strings like this, and do reservation UUID. Let's actually generate the eloquent helper code. All right. Now we can give it a hint that the response is success, or in case of cancel URL, it will go to the same. Or do we want to go to the same or not? If the payment was canceled, do we want to give them the option to pay again? I think just cancel everything and go home. So in case of cancel, we abandon, abort everything. All right. And we want to pass some additional data to the webhook when we get it back, because we will get a response back, a webhook that we will implement, and I have to identify the reservation that the payment was made for, and I don't want to extract it from the name or something, and I will pass it as a metadata, and we can pass everything we want in here, and Stripe is kind enough to return it. So reservation ID and reservation UID. Cool. So this should actually create the checkout URL, and this, let's see. Did we DD it? What is this? I don't think I get the actual URL yet. So yes, we want this session, and we want to extract the URL from it. And this will be the actual URL. This is why you need a good IDE, because it helps you with auto-completion. All right, let's declare the return type, JSON, yes. Okay, success, let's see. Yes, it's a success. Let's copy the URL from here. And if we go to, oh, that was not what I wanted to copy. Again, not what I wanted to copy. Okay, and we can see the reservation. This is the name that we built out in here. It has the date interval, and it has the amount, and it's the same 1074 that we have here. So everything works as expected. And let's try to make a payment. So we're gonna use the Stripe testing card. And the nice thing about this is that it also handles the two-factor, like the, how is it called? SCA, and I'll show you what I mean. So let's make the first payment. And this should redirect us back to our local host at 3000 on checkout, and the UID of the reservation. And this is great. And we can check the backend now if the reservation was paid. Now, this fired an event or a webhook, but we're not catching the webhook yet. Yeah. So let's check the webhooks and which one is ours. I don't even remember anymore. Oh, I think it's this one. So let's see. Yeah, it's the first one. So no webhooks because we don't have the event type of our single payment. So let's go to payments. This is our payment, and let's see what event it generated. And we can see that down below. Yeah, the checkout session completed. And this is all the data of the event. So let's check it out. And what I'm looking for is the metadata. And this is the reservation ID and the reservation UUID. And we can catch it on our side now. And we can identify the reservation and mark it as paid. And this is the paid amount. Or actually just go with the total. And yeah, this is great. Let's catch the event. Now, if we check the documentation, let's see how this is done. So custom webhooks. Webhook. Let's search from the top. So these are the default ones. We don't want that. Defining a webhook. Now, this is the example that we want. Let's go in our webhook controller and create this here. And this is how the event name is created. Yeah. Let's grab the name, check out session completed, and what we have to do here is handle checkout, I think. Yeah, just yeah, same as this, without dots and with camel case. So checkout session completed. Now we will get the payload, and let's log it first and see that it works. So let's use the log facade and let's log the payload, and this will always be an array from what I remember. And we don't want anything for now, so let's see that this works first. Do we want to? Yes, let's also return a response. And we don't need any data and just a status 200. So Stripe will know that yes, we caught it, and yes, we know what to do from here on. Okay. And okay, storage log. Let's clear the log. Let's open the log now. Is it not watched? So resource storage logs Laravel.log, and we don't have anything in here. So let's create another payment. We can do the checkout again for this resource because it's not updated yet. So we haven't marked anything in the database that this has been paid, and this is what we'll do in the webhook. So let's generate a new URL and copy. Go again to the checkout. Now let me show you the other example. So the SCA, it handles this one as well. And you will get the confirmation. Usually you'll get a mobile notification that your bank requires some confirmation, 3D secure confirmation. And yeah, this is in test mode, so just forge that you have accepted that one. Process. And let's watch the payments. So we got redirected back again. There should be another payment of 10.74 succeeded, and is this the one? So 738. Yes, that's the one. Pending webhook response. Have we not caught that? Let's see. Let's check the log file. It seems we have not. Let me check what I've made wrong in the webhook controller. Handle checkout session completed. Maybe it's not array. Let's see. Do we have this one running? So there was no webhook here. And why is that? Let's remove the other webhooks. Maybe that is the reason. So we need just the first one. Let's delete this one. And yeah, we don't need this either. Okay. So this is the only one that we want to. So yeah, this is the issue actually. We don't want any events other than our payment confirmation. back to payment, copy the event name. So this is checkout session completed. Let's add it here. Checkout session completed. And this is the only webhook that we're interested in. We're not creating subscriptions or anything. Let's make sure that this is the sign-in secret for the webhook. And .env, make sure that this is the one. Yes. Okay, so now that when we make the next payment, this webhook should fire that event. This Stripe should fire that event, and our webhook should, our backend should catch it. So, new URL. Right. Let's make this simple. One. Yes. Pay. Yes, all good. Now, if we check the payments, 41, yes, latest one. Our webhook is successful now. It got a response. We got the 200 back, and we should see the log with the hook data. So you can see the log here that a Stripe webhook was requested. Let's see the JSON data of it. Okay. So we get the creation. Let's see what no need, and I think the stuff that we need is here. Yeah. So this is the data back in the webhook. Let's find now the reservation, or we have to find the reservation first. So reservation, find or fail, and now we need to get. So this is an array. Let's make sure that it's array. And let's see the data structure. So we go in data, then we go to object, metadata, and reservation ID. So let's use the array get helper and use the payload and get the deep key. So let's close this for now. So data, object, metadata, and reservation ID. Yes. Now that we found it, let's import it. We want to update. So first, paid at, and this will be now, or we can use the created from the webhook. So payload created. And we also want to have the paid amount. So paid amount, let's get it from, it's in data object amount total. Data object amount total. Okay, so now that we have we update our database reservation. We return the webhook, and this is all done on our hook side. So let's check that it works. So now that we create a new URL, close, pay again. This should actually find the reservation and set the correct fields. Let's see. Okay, so let's hop up to the reservation. We have the paid at, which is the date of the webhook, daytime of the webhook, and we have the paid amount. So everything works as expected. And now that we want to create a new URL, I don't think we should be able to do, because the action is not authorized. If we remember, we have the reservation policy, and in order to be able to pay, the paid at should be empty. So we're not allowed to create any URL. Great. Let's let's continue and and hook it up to front end. So we in the garage model, when we, let's see how that thing is called. So this will not be available anymore. And let's grab another one. 20-second. Okay, cool. So again, 1086. Now, when we click continue to payment, this should make an API request to this endpoint with the reservation ID that I have here. So this created the reservation 292. Is this one? It's not been paid yet. So we can make the API request to this endpoint, get the URL, and redirect to that URL. So let's do that. Continue to payment. So when we click this one, issue, yeah, because we create a new token, a new URL every time. Checkout URL, and let's make this function method, however you want to call it. So in the methods, it's out here. Let's see. Do we have the reservation here somewhere? Let's see how we can get the reservation for the button. So select random spot. This selected spot is this. Calculate payment. Get reservation price. Let's see what this is called. So we're not assigning this anywhere. So let's put the reservation ID here somewhere. And this will be null by default. And put this in here. Reservation ID equal to data.id. Cool. Now, when we click on issue checkout URL, we should make an API request. So this is an async action post, yes. Let's check again. So checkout, and we need the reservation ID. Cool. And we don't pass anything here. Let's see that we have the URL in here now. So let's redo the process. Okay. Continue payment. So this one makes an actual method not allowed. Why not? This is, I make a post request. I need to make a GET request. This access GET. Okay, let's redo it. Boop. So we have a checkout URL. That is great. I always JavaScript redirect to URL. Great. That. Replace, and let's get the data.url. Let's see that it works. That's no electric. Huh, all right. So continue to payment should make the request, and then we get the URL and get the redirect. And we do. Let's make the payment. Normal one. Pay. Payment success. We should get redirected back here. And now we should check if the payment was actually successful. Well, we have the success here, but I wouldn't actually trust this. It's just a hint. Maybe we can use it in a different way. But for now, let's make a request to check the status of the reservation of this EUID. I don't think we have an API endpoint yet, so let's do route get. We need the reservations and status. Do we have a get reservations? Huh. I don't think we do. Yeah, we don't. So let's say a reservation, but instead of, so normally with root model binding, you get the ID as the primary key, but you can do stuff like this. So if I say UID, this will find the reservation with the UID, the one that I passed and injected. So let's go to reservation controller, and I don't have the show yet. So let's make the show. Do we want the request? Yeah, let's pass the request. I won't make a separate request for this. And we need the reservation. Okay, let's delete for now and grab this UID. Go to Postman and say API reservations and grab this UID. So function something, I didn't put the name of the function in here. Show. And let's put this next to all the reservations. And this should point to the correct function now. And we should get the reservation. So this is the root model binding trick. If I leave it like this and I search by UUID, this will not be found. No result. And we have to use the ID in this case. Yeah, and I'll what were the IDs? 297. Yeah, and this will find it. But we want by UUID because we don't want the users to guess the IDs and just check it one by one, see the payment. It's not really something that I want. So we will use this and switch it back to UUID, and there's no chance that the user or the users will guess this UUID, but they can check it later, and we can send them an email redirecting to this page to show the status of the payment or something like that. So we have the information now. Let's see if we have a reservation resource. Okay, we do. So we have a paid at, and we also need a paid amount. Paid amount, and this is yeah, we don't need the optional in this case. Oh, I hate this. Okay, so paid amount, yes, and let's return the resource pack. Turn new reservation resource and pass the reservation in here. And this should return reservation resource. And let's see that it works. Cool. So let's check the status of this here. When we go on the checkout UID, so in the async, we have the we grab the UID and we show it here. Now let's check on the mounted. Console log check reservation status and this UID, and let's make a request. This axios.get. This will be our, let's grab process. Yeah. So we want to go to the API, then reservations, and interpolate this with the UID. This will be an async action, or actually, do we want to isolate this? Yeah, let's put this in methods and say check the reservation status and put this one in here, because maybe we want to put this in a loop, and in case the payment was not successful or something, or it's not been processed yet, or there's some delay in the 3D secure confirmation, then we can make a new request. So let's call this now. Yes, async, await, and async. And let's wait for this again. So data equal to this, and let's see reservation status. Let's see if it works. And it does. And we have the paid amount. So I will make some dummy data here. Let's see. How do I want to do this? So let's put the reservation to null and put this here. This dot reservation is equal to data. I think it's data.data. And let's see this here. Reservation. And done this one here. So it makes a request, it gets this, and let's just say if reservation dot paid at, yeah, I think. Oh, I already have this here. Make a new one, and this will be the VLs. So we'll say reservation UID has been successfully paid successfully. Purchased, paid. And we can pass the amount in here, and reservation paid amount, and we can, yes, VLs, let's see, reservation not paid. Well, we can think about, you can be more creative with this, but let's see that it works now. All right, so first we need to check if the reservation exists first. Because this is an async call, the reservation is null. So template if reservation, only in that case we want to make it. So reservation based successfully 1184. Let's make a new reservation and not pay it. We will be able to access the UID because we know it, but the user will not guess it otherwise. So where am I? What happened? I think let's start it again. Or did our backend die? No. Let's check it again. No. So it's back online. Now, if you remember, I mentioned Telescope at the beginning. So check this out. You can see all the requests made to the server, and you can see all the requests made to the database as well. So you can inspect this. For example, you see the garages makes only one query to the database. Right, let's create a reservation. So 28. Let's have a bigger amount here. Well, the numbers are, yeah, you have to tinker without, the prices are a bit exaggerated now. But we have a reservation now because we got the price. So you need the reservation to get the price. So back in here, this is our latest one. Pay the at and pay the amount is null. Let's grab the UID and switch it out here. Or let's just duplicate it. And pop. What happened to my server keeps crashing, I think. I think this is an issue with Google Maps. Noticed this before. Okay, so the reservation not paid, and this is the one that we just created, and this one is paid successfully, and we have it here. Now you could send an email and is it making more requests? Why is it crashing? I still don't know. Let's check it. Maybe it doesn't like this. So I put this in a wrapper because I don't want to show reservation not paid before the actual request is made. So this is why it's wrapped. But I still don't know why it keeps crashing. Nox is not too happy today. All right, I think just a clean restart will do it. Anyway, I think this is, we kind of approached the end. We have a fully functional system that keeps crashing because of something. Oh, everything works here. All right. So, quick overview. Do we need one? All right, so I'll go again. So this is the last episode of this project. Let's go from the beginning, so it will take a couple of minutes. Let's open this one. The consumer web app is our Nox application. The backend server is our Laravel application. We use the latest version of Laravel with PHP 8 and MySQL version 8. And we have Stripe as the payment processor. our backend server holds all the garages, all the spots, all the prices, and on initial load, we make the request. So let's load this again. We make the request to the garages endpoint. We get all of them. We plot them on the map. When we open the garage, this happens. So this is the index page, and when we click one of the garages, we select we mark the selected garage as the one we click, and this one opens the model for the garage model. On open, yeah. So when the garage changes, we fetch the details. Otherwise, so when the model closes, we reset the all the data. Yeah. But when we fetch the details, this is why we call this endpoint, and we set the attributes and sizes of this garage, so we can continue. So these are the attributes and these are the sizes. You need to set we need to set a 2. So this is the first condition, and next you have to pass a size. So only after these conditions are met, a new request will be made to the backend. This will retrieve all the spots matching this criteria. This will also create a reservation for high availability. So if another user would go and check for the same interval, and this spot will not be available. You'll have only 3 available spots, because this one is kind of reserved. Yeah, and so let's say this user doesn't pay and just closes the application altogether. This will, yeah. So that's one step that we didn't implement yet. Yeah. So we have this reservation empty, and let's create a console command. Make command clean old expired reservations. Now this should create the commands in here. Let's say clean expired reservations, and what this will do is kind of do the same thing that we have in our reservation. Is it observer? Yeah. So this will query all the reservations that don't have a paid at. We don't care about the user because we will delete all of them that are older. So where created at, where is there past or something like that? No. So let's just do where created at is equal than now minus subminutes 15. Yeah. Is there where less than? Okay, let's just keep it like this. So the created at should be less than the add minutes, and this is a Carbon instance, but Laravel is smart enough to do this. So let's set the created at some time in the past. So let's put it 15. Save it, and when we run this command, our empty reservation is deleted, the one that's not paid, and all we have to do now is register this in kernel, and we can schedule it here. So let's put schedule command. I think I can pass the class directly, so clean expired class, or you can pass the name string like this. So without class. So this is another way to do it, but we want this to run every minute. Yeah. So every minute the cron will check the database for expired reservations, and the condition for that is that they have to be older than 15 minutes. Or yeah, we can tweak that later. Yeah, 10 minutes, doesn't matter. We can make it even a configurable, a variable to be configured in the settings. So I think this kind of wraps up everything. Well, of course, there's a design. There are design improvements that. What is this? So back to this. Let's create it. Final check. This is the last payment check. Right. Small 35. Continue. This should make a request. Yes, we get here. Let's pay. Boom. We pay. We accept. We should get redirected back to the front-end stack. What is this? 401. What is this? Route not found exception. I am unauthenticated, am I? Yeah, I got unauthenticated for some reason. Okay, final check. 23rd, 6, 24th, 11, small, nice price. I wouldn't park my car here. Okay. So now, get redirected back. We paid successfully, and we can see this here. And now you should make this prettier and send some confirmation email to the user that yes, your payment was successful. And I keep dragging this, but let's make a notification. So make notification, payment successful. So reservation payment. Payment successful. Let's use mail trap. So this is a on the fly functionality now. Okay. Credentials. Envy. What is this? SMTP. This will be mail trap. The username copied, password copied, port. Yeah, let's just put any of them. Doesn't matter. Port. Okay, cool. So when the payment has been successful, I think that's a good place to check in the Webhook controller. So we can check. So this will be the reservation. So we will find and fail this one. We will update it. And then we'll grab the reservation user. Notify. Is there a do I use the notifications on the user model? Let's check Laravel notifications. So generate one. Yes, we have the notification, and that is called reservation payment successful. And this is mail. And let's do your let's also pass the reservation in here. So this will be a reservation. Let's initialize the property. No, we're not dealing with that code. We want the subject to be reservation. This reservation ID paid successfully. Now the line will be let's see, we can just in the checkout controller, we can grab this one and say reservation. This reservation ID start, reservation ID end, has been paid successfully, and we don't need any action. Do we want the price? Yes, I guess we do. Paid amount. Amount equal this, and let's put number format. Let's check. Because I want to put the dollars as well. Then make this in a different place. Guess I have not. So let's grab the number formatter. God damn it. Alright, let's just go with this for now. Number format and then 2 decimals. Great. So this amount USD paid for reservation. Thank you for using our application. Parking, whatever. Yes, yes, yes. Let's check what's next. We have the notifiable. We need the user of the reservation, and we pass the new notification. So in our webhook, let's check reservation user notify. I don't know why there's no notify on the user. This is a relationship. Yeah. So now this should work. Notify. Yeah. And then we pass a new. How is this called? How do you call it? Reservation payment successful. And then we pass the reservation. So this should send an email to the user with the data that we have here. And I promise this is the last functionality. So back to checkout, to our index 27. Boom. I hope that works. Let's see. Okay, reservation paid successfully. Do we have, where's our email? So paid amount 11, yes. Let's say reservation. Find or fail. And let's grab the webhook stuff. Let's see if we get any errors, or if we have, what do we have for our queue? So the queue, oh, it's sync, so it should be run automatically. Still no email here. Let's see. So our localhost 8. So it can't connect to Mailtrap for some reason. What did I do wrong? Well, the host, that might be, yeah. Sorry for that. Oop. Cannot send the message without the send address. Yes. So this one should be from. And this will be our parking system, whatever. From, well, this is the address. So from address and from name. So, and this will be no reply at parkingsystem.com. Okay, check it again. Cool. This should reservation, So $11 paid for reservation. Thank you for using. Great. Now, if we do the reservation, let's remove the web stuff. We don't need this here. And let's make sure that this is yes. And yes. Okay. 28. Small, great payment. Pay. Yes, and we have our email confirmation. Cool. So this wraps up the episode. I will push everything to GitHub, and I'll put the description. In the description, I'll put the URLs to the repositories. They will stay public. You can use them however you want. One quick note: if you want to use it in production, just ask me first. Alrighty. Thank you very much, everyone, and see you next time.